At 5 p.m. on a Friday, the Keatington Newtown condos are usually quiet. But today, thick, dark smoke is aggressively pushing out of a second-story window, visible from all across the complex. Two brothers, ages 10 and 12, are at that window. They are screaming for help as the air inside the room becomes unbreathable. There is a specific math to these moments. It takes minutes for a fire engine to receive a dispatch and navigate traffic, but smoke inhalation can reach lethal levels in a fraction of that time. An Oakland County Sheriff's deputy is the first to pull up to the curb. He is on the scene before any specialized fire equipment. He has the training to help, but he is standing on the grass without a ladder or a breathing apparatus. The window is out of reach, and the smoke is getting thicker. To bridge that vertical gap before the fire crews arrive, he has to find a tool that isn't there. In a crisis, the brain stops seeing objects as what they are and starts seeing them for their utilitarian potential. The deputy spots a standard, heavy-duty plastic garbage can sitting nearby. Step on an upright garbage can and the lid buckles under your weight. But by flipping it, the deputy changes its physics. Now, a man's weight travels down the reinforced rim and walls, creating a stable, rigid platform. This added height brings the window ledge within reach, turning an impossible rescue into a manageable one. The deputy climbs onto the bottom of the can, securing his footing just as the smoke conditions above him intensify. By utilizing the structural strength of a piece of consumer plastic, he created a functional piece of rescue equipment in seconds. Standing on the bin, he reaches the window ledge and hauls the first child out of the heavy smoke. He pulls the second brother out. A fireman and neighbor arrive, stabilizing the boy's descent safely to the ground. With the children out, fire crews move in to rescue the family dog and contain the fire before it can move to neighboring units. After the adrenaline drops and the boys are safe, the deputy performs one last task, carrying the garbage can back to where he found it. It was a resolution defined by quick thinking and the presence of a durable everyday object. While the rescue was a success, the circumstances leading up to it raise questions about the safety of the environment these families live in. Brittany Lansky, a neighbor in the complex, noted that this was the fourth fire she has encountered in this specific cluster of buildings. When multiple fires occur within the same geographic footprint, it suggests a pattern of risk that goes beyond a single accidental spark. Ideally, residential safety is built into the architecture through materials and response protocols that don't require high-stakes improvisation to save lives. In this case, survival relied on a precise set of variables: the deputy's arrival time, his ability to stand on a narrow rim, and the fact that a trash can was close enough to grab. We often focus on the brilliance of the rescue itself, but when a community has to rely on a first responder's ability to turn trash into a ladder, it's worth asking if the underlying safety systems are providing enough of a cushion. Celebrating the hero is easy. Investigating why the hero was the only thing standing between these boys and the smoke is the more difficult, and perhaps more important, conversation. What do you think is the real story here? Let's discuss in the comments.
Welcome back. If you are studying English at a B2 or C1 level, you already know that true fluency isn't just about nailing your grammar anymore, right? It's really about idioms, collocations, register, and finding those exact connective phrases that native speakers use without even thinking. So you've just watched the Rescue Explainer. Now we're going to break down the language from that exact story, extracting 18 advanced expressions to really boost your narrative fluency. Let's jump right into this.
To make this stick, we're using a strict 4-block framework to categorize our vocabulary today. We've got Block 1, setting the scene, Block 2, building tension, Block 3, the turn, and Block 4, register and signposts. All right, Block 1, setting the scene. This is how the narrator establishes place, time, and the stakes.
Let's start with pull up. This is a phrasal verb that means to arrive somewhere in a vehicle and come to a stop. In the explainer, we heard, an Oakland County Sheriff's deputy is the first to pull up to the curb. Now, for a totally new example, I'll pull up to your house at 7 p.m. When it comes to register, this one is super casual. It's strictly for spoken or informal English, so definitely do not use it in an academic essay. Next, we have pushing out. This is a separable phrasal verb meaning to forcefully exit or protrude from a space. The original quote was, thick, dark smoke is aggressively pushing out of a second-story window. If you want to use this at work, you might say, the new company policy is pushing out our most experienced employees. It's incredibly descriptive and great for telling a vivid story, but again, avoid it in formal academic writing. Finally, lethal levels. This is a powerful collocation meaning deadly amounts or concentrations. The narrator warned that smoke inhalation can reach lethal levels. In a different context, you could say, the radiation in the facility reached lethal levels. Register-wise, this is absolutely perfect for formal, journalistic, or scientific contexts.
Next up is the idiom a fraction of that time. It basically means a very small amount or proportion of something. Our narrator said, but smoke inhalation can reach lethal levels in a fraction of that time. To put this into a completely different scenario, by automating the system, we finished the project in a fraction of the budget. This is a really versatile quantifier. It acts as a powerful tool to express urgency or efficiency, and it works perfectly in both formal business writing and everyday spoken English. Moving on to Block 2, building tension. Here's where we look at verbs and expressions that create immediate urgency. Let's look at the phrase, in a crisis. This is a structural signpost phrase that indicates an immediate, high-pressure emergency or a time of intense difficulty. The story used it perfectly. In a crisis, the brain stops seeing objects as what they are. For a new example, in a crisis, strong leadership is more important than ever. Now, for the register, this functions as a brilliant narrative anchor. It sounds incredibly professional, making it the perfect choice for academic writing, business presentations, or serious journalism.
Okay, out of reach. This is an idiom meaning unable to be attained, and it can be physical or metaphorical. In our explainer, it was physical. The window is out of reach and the smoke is getting thicker, but it transfers incredibly easily to corporate life. For example, because of the economic downturn, our Q4 profit targets are now out of reach. This phrase sits right in the sweet spot for register. It's totally natural in daily conversation, but absolutely polished enough to use in a boardroom. Now let's run through 3 verbs of physical stress. First up, buckles under. This phrasal verb means to collapse or crumble under heavy weight or intense pressure. In the story, the lid buckles under your weight. But what about a new context? You could say the junior manager buckles under the pressure of tight deadlines. Honestly, this is a fantastic, evocative phrase to use in a job interview if you're describing how you handle pressure. Second, we have travels down, meaning to move along a specific path. We heard that a man's weight travels down the reinforced rim. If you're talking about science or tech, try something like the electrical signal travels down the optic nerve. The register here is highly descriptive and slightly technical, so it's perfect for explaining a process. Third is intensify, which means to become stronger or more extreme. Our narrator describes the deputy securing his footing just as the smoke conditions above him intensify. A brand new example, the competition between the 2 tech giants continues to intensify. This one is quite formal and has a very journalistic feel to it. All right, we are on to Block 3, the turn. We're shifting focus to the language used to describe the decisive turning point of an event. Contrast is huge in storytelling. Back in Block 2, we looked at out of reach. Now we have the exact opposite, within reach. This means achievable, accessible, or physically close enough to grab. The explainer used it like this. This added height brings the window ledge within reach. But let's apply it to a personal goal. After months of studying, passing the C1 exam is finally within reach. Just like its opposite, the register is perfectly balanced. It is an essential phrase for describing achievable goals in literally any environment, professional or casual. Let's look at the phrasal structure, turning something into. It literally means to transform one thing into another. Our narrator highlighted this transformation by saying, turning an impossible rescue into a manageable one. For a new context, imagine a renovation. She is turning a rundown house into a beautiful cafe. As for register, this is exactly how native speakers highlight transformation. It's universally applicable and flows seamlessly from a casual chat right into a formal essay. Let's tackle 3 vivid action phrases here. Securing his footing means establishing a stable, safe position to stand. The original audio noted, the deputy climbs onto the bottom of the can, securing his footing. For everyday use, you might say, before lifting the heavy box, make sure you are securing your footing. The register here is quite formal and highly descriptive. Next is hauls out, a phrasal verb meaning to pull something or someone out with a massive amount of physical effort. We heard how the deputy hauls the first child out of the heavy smoke. At home, you could say, we hauled the old sofa out of the living room. Notice the register. This is very spoken, very physical, and quite informal. Contrast that with our third phrase, contain the fire. Contain means to keep something harmful under control or strictly within limits. Our narrator talked about trying to contain the fire before it can move to neighboring units.
In a completely different setting, the government is trying to contain the spread of the virus. Unlike Halls Out, contain sounds incredibly official, academic, or journalistic.
Finally, block 4, register and signposts. We're looking at the connective tissue that glues a story together. Let's explore 3 key signposts. First, leading up to, which refers to the events or time immediately before an event happens. The script said the circumstances leading up to it raise questions. Try this for your own vocabulary. The weeks leading up to the election were incredibly stressful. This is honestly the ultimate transition phrase. It is fantastic for essays, storytelling, and business reports. Next is built into, meaning permanently included or integrated as a core part of something. The narrator mentions residential safety is built into the architecture. Moving to the corporate world, you could say health insurance is built into our employee compensation package. This is a solid professional phrase for analytical discussions. Lastly, high-stakes improvisation. This means making things up on the spot under extreme risk or intense pressure. We heard about protocols that don't require high-stakes improvisation to save lives. A totally new example. Launching the product without testing was just high-stakes improvisation. This is advanced descriptive vocabulary, perfect if you're doing journalistic writing or high-level analysis. Our final expression is the idiom providing enough of a cushion. This literally means creating a margin of safety or allocating extra resources to protect against failure. The narrator asks if the underlying safety systems are providing enough of a cushion. Let's put this into a financial context. Having 3 months of rent and savings is providing enough of a cushion while I look for a job. The register of this phrase is just metaphorical brilliance. I highly recommend it for advanced discussions about finances, project timelines, or structural safety.
And there you have it. That brings us to the end of our 4 blocks. We didn't just review a story today. We extracted the exact linguistic tools you need to sound like a fluent, native speaker navigating complex narratives. Now, it is your turn, and I mean right now. Active recall is literally the only way this vocabulary will stick in your brain. So go down to the comments and write one original sentence using your favorite expression from today's explainer. Did you love buckles under? Or maybe in a fraction of? Drop your brand new sentence below, and I'll see you in the next one.